Hi, I am Christo from Oklahoma Strings Violin Shop, and here's a quick video showing two methods we use to place labels inside our violins. Our first method uses two sticks and some double-sided tape or adhesive transfer tape. First, you need a plan. For our example, we are using our own new violins, so we are putting the label on the bass side to avoid the soundpost. So that's going to be over here. If you're using for example, a school label, and you want to place it in your instrument, you'll probably have to put it on this side and avoid the soundpost, and I'll show you what that would look like. But, for example, let's go ahead and get started. So, first you'll place some double-sided tape, or some of the transfer tape. In this case, we're going to use some of this transfer tape. Just pull off a ball, and we're going to put that onto our label and stick. So in this case, we're going to use a soundpost setter. Just place that ball of stickiness right there. It doesn't have to be anything special. It's not meant to be a permanent hold. And you'll just kind of place that on the corner or our side here, and now that holds it. And it's just barely enough to hold onto it for what we're about to do. Then you'll take some glue and generally apply that. In this case, we're using hide glue. Just add some of that. I think I said generally, I meant generously. And I'm just going to add quite a bit to cover all of it. I don't want any dry spots. There we go. Now you can see it's all curled up now since I have the glue on there. Okay, so now you'll just have to kind of guide this into place through the F-hole. And you'll use your second stick just to kind of move that around into place. So in this case, it kind of fell off of my double stick tape, and that's okay. I just kind of use that second stick to move everything around, get it into place. And there you go. Now you'll just need to go through and kind of push these little bubbly areas down. You want it to lay flat. Just be sure to do that and be very careful not to damage the F-holes. You don't want to be dragging your tool up against them. But this way you can see the label, it's in there, everything's clear, and I'm just going to get that little ball of stickiness off of that label here. Yeah, any spot that's kind of lifting up, just press it down. And if you need to, you can go back in with a very small brush and some glue and make sure that that stays nice and down. So anyway, there's one method. It's in there, and we're good. Okay, so the second method uses a specialty tool. This is the method that I personally prefer, but it's a little bit more difficult, and this is more for if you're doing a lot of labels. But I just made this little kind of doodad here, and it's just a brass rod that I've taken, bent this section over here, and then I took a little piece of wood and just tied that to the brass end, and then just tied it off with some silk and some super glue. And the main thing is you need to make sure that that is narrow enough to actually go into the F-hole. So in this case, it is quite a bit smaller than the F-hole, so I don't have any issue going in and out. Now, for this method, this is really easy. If you go and make a tool like this, just be sure that you have a gap right there to be sure that you're actually making this flexible. So if I go in here, I was working with ebony earlier, my hands are all dirty. But you just take that and you can kind of push this up, and there's a little bit of a gap. So what that does is that means that I can take my label and just press it on there like that. And now I don't have to worry about this falling. I can move it around, put it exactly where I want it, and it doesn't fall off like it saw on the previous label. So let's go ahead and do the same exact thing. We're going to put some glue on this. And same idea. Get lots of glue on there. You don't want it to be so soaked that it's kind of paper mache, but you do want to have enough glue that when you put this in, it's not going to lift back up. So there we go. It's curled. You can see got a generous amount of glue on there, and it's curling. So that's what I want, because now it'll curl right in here, and I can just press that into place. Now this is where I definitely need my second stick, because I'm not going to be able to get it off without pressing it down and just pulling that lightly off. And there we go. So now the label's in there, and I just have to press down the curled up sides. So I can take my tool here, stick that back in, and because it's a little bit of a hook, I can press it and just kind of rub into place. There we go. Rub into place anything that's sticking up. The benefit to this is because I use such a narrow rod, I have lots of maneuvering room inside the F-hole. So there we go. There's another label. In the instrument, you can see it from the F-hole very easily. Now, ideally, we'll get that right up against that rib or pretty close to it. In this case, it's a little bit closer to the middle, but I can still move that around off camera. And as promised, if you're a teacher, or if you have to place a bunch of labels inside your instruments, for example, barcodes, you can do the same thing. I'm going to use my little tool here since I'm a little bit more dexterous with it, but you can use the double stick tape, do that same exact method, and what you'll do is you'll just, well, of course, peel off whatever backing you have here, and you can place that in there as well. Now in this case, you do have to be aware there's that sound post right there. So in this case, you definitely need to make sure you place this as far away from as you can from that sound post. And if you do this right, you'll be able to still see your scanning, your barcode to scan, and now it's in the instrument and everything's pretty safe. Now I think ideally, probably a QR scan might be a little bit easier to read, but there you go. All right, thanks very much, and sorry about the, like I said, if I was working with that, Vinny, my hands are all dirty, but hope that helps, and have a wonderful day.